Hi, my name is Kelsey Smith, and for my second article critique, I read the article Enhancing Literacy in the Second Grade. It had several authors, one of whom was the same author that I used for my very first article. Um, but the purpose of this study, it was actually 5 related studies that was used to determine the effectiveness of a music curriculum that was specially designed to enhance the literacy or the reading skills of second grade students. And the reason for this was because of No Child Left Behind, and this is also something that I touched on my very first article critique, but because of No Child Left Behind, there was a great emphasis on reading and math, and because of that, all of their subjects were kind of pushed over to the wayside. I know in my classroom, it doesn't happen as much now as it used to, but I would have students pulled out of my music class in order to receive special reading instruction time. That would always be very frustrating to me. And so this study, because of these things that was going on, sought to find the link between music and literacy, and can music be just as effective as a separate reading instruction? And so for this study, they tested only second grade students. Now I said it was 5 studies in one, and it was. Each one was slightly different, but a few, of course, similarities were they used the music and reading curriculum that they had designed for these second grade students. And they said that they chose second grade students because they felt that it was kind of like a cutoff, if you will, in order to kind of close the gap in reading remediation. Third grade students begin, when they reach third grade, their report cards are different. They are beginning to be tested on standardized tests nationwide and in the state, and so that's why they chose second grade students. So in each of these 5 studies, as I said, they chose second grade students. They all used the same music and reading curriculum. And basically, they just tried different scenarios using this, the music and reading curriculum, as opposed to their regular reading instruction, or as opposed to their regular music education. And this took place all across the United States, in the Midwest, in the South, in urban areas, and rural communities, at lower socioeconomical places. So a variety of students were tested. In each one, the control condition, there was an experiment. Of course, there was a treatment group and a control group. But the control group received their regular reading instruction. The treatment group, of course, would receive the music and reading curriculum. So it basically was seeing were they just as effective. All studies, the students were assessed with a pre and post test using the Gates-McGinnity reading test. So that's how the results were given. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a little bit of the results, which were interesting to me. The overall results did not. There were no significant gaps between the control group and the treatment group. However, the results from this study did show that the music and reading curriculum, the total test gain scores were somewhat higher than those of the control group, but they weren't in a significant way. So even though there may not have been a huge jump one way or another, all teachers that were taking part in this study, which I also thought was interesting because at one of these test sites, I think it was in the South, there was no music education in place for that district. So the classroom teachers were there observing, of course, the whole time. I think one other thing I forgot to say was that there was a certified music specialist teaching this curriculum in each setting as well. In some cases, a music educational specialist plus a music therapist. So there were qualified people giving this instruction. but at all places, the teachers reported a very high rate of engagement and enjoyment of reading for the students in the music and reading curriculum, and that response was much more positive than what it had been in the children before the study began. So the post-reading scores were basically the same, or basically equal between all of the groups, but that's likely because in most sites the reading and music curriculum completely replaced their reading instruction time, which is interesting. So this study proved that music can be an effective tool to teach music, or it can be just kind of like in the bag of tricks. It can be one tool in our bag of tricks to help further our kids in literacy and reading achievement. It can not only rationalize the significance and not only of music education, but also that music and reading instruction can go hand in hand. The music and reading curriculum did not make huge strides in the area of reading achievement, but it didn't take away from their achievement either. So it suggests that the future use of this curriculum should be more frequent. That was one thing that I thought this study was a little weak on. Each one of the studies, some would start in January, some would start in October. They weren't consistent. I believe that if the study chose maybe to start at the very beginning of the year and continue the study all the way through, instead of 6 weeks here, 12 weeks here, it would have been more effective. I also believe that I think they would have had greater success with this if maybe they chose a younger grade level, first grade or even kindergarten, because I think by the time they get to second grade, it's very difficult to fix a lot of the problems that they're dealing with. Their remediation, if it's not already addressed and identified by second grade, it's going to be very hard to overcome that. So if they would have chosen maybe a younger grade level, I think they would have had more success with that. But overall, I do believe that this study was very thorough in it. And like I already addressed the time factor. I believe that an equal amount of time would have been much more successful too. But overall, this study does confirm that music can be an effective tool in the process of reading achievement, which is good news for us music educators. Thanks.